Hey, and welcome to our explainer. Now, we've all heard the story of the universe starting with a Big Bang, right? This massive outward explosion from a single tiny point. But what if that's not the whole story? Today, we're diving into a theory that turns that idea on its head, suggesting the universe wasn't born in a flash, but through a quiet, inward transformation. So let's get right into this. It's a pretty fascinating concept called the theory of transformation, and it was proposed by Yogiraj Vethathiri Maharishi. The whole idea here is that the universe wasn't created out of nothing, but actually transformed from a single absolute state that was already there. So where does it all begin then? Well, according to this theory, it doesn't start with a bang at all. It starts with this silent, all-encompassing state of pure, untapped potential. Now, in this framework, the beginning was an empty space. It was what's called a plenum, which basically means a state that is completely, totally full. You can think of it as this field of pure potential that already has everything that would ever exist tucked inside it. The fundamental properties of force, consciousness, even time itself, all just unified as one big thing. So get this. The very first act of creation isn't an explosion outward. It's an implosion inward. This divine state, because of its own built-in self-compressive pressure, just starts to, crumble. This is that key moment where pure potential starts turning into something physical. And what does it crumble into? These incredibly tiny particles, which the theory calls formative dust. Think of them like the absolute base code of reality, the very seeds that the entire cosmos is going to grow from. Okay, so now we have this dust. What happens next? Let's move on to the next stage and see how this dust becomes the dynamic energy that starts to shape reality. This is where static potential really becomes kinetic action. So that same self-compressive force that created the dust in the first place now starts pushing it together into these little spinning clusters. This is a huge transformation, creating what the theory calls an energy particle, or a Vathon. And this spinning particle, that right there, is the first and most fundamental state of matter, also known as Akash, or ether. Now, this right here is basically the engine of the entire universe in this theory. You've got these two fundamental forces in a constant cosmic tug-of-war. The self-compressive force from that divine state is always pushing inward, trying to clump things together. But the spin of the particles themselves creates its own repulsive force, pushing outward. So everything that exists, from a tiny atom to a whole galaxy, is really just a temporary, dynamic balance between these two primal forces. And this chart, this really spells out a core idea here. Particles like electrons and protons aren't seen as fundamentally different things. Nope, they're just different stages in the life of the same entity. It starts out as a super fast spinning electron. As it gets older, it radiates away some of its formative dust, which slows down its rotation, and it becomes a proton, and then a neutron. Eventually, when it stops spinning completely, it becomes what the theory calls a black hole, and it just dissolves right back into the divine state, completing this whole cosmic cycle. Pretty cool, right? All right, so with these energy particles now formed and spinning at all these different speeds, we can start to see how they begin to group together and build the matter that we see all around us. This slide really breaks down the building process for us. It all starts with that fundamental formative dust. That dust clumps up into energy particles. Then those particles start to associate into atoms. For example, the theory suggests that the very first atom, hydrogen, was formed when a faster spinning particle, an electron, got captured in orbit around a slower one, a proton. And from there, the atoms team up to form all the elements. And this whole progression leads right into the 5 classical states of matter, which you might have heard of in Sanskrit as the Panchabhutas. In this model, they aren't totally different substances, they're just different densities of the same energy particles. Akash is the most spread out state. As that compressive force packs them tighter, they become air. Tighter still, they generate friction and heat, becoming fire. Then they condense into water, and finally they pack into the densest state, earth, or, solid matter. Okay, we've been talking about tiny atomic stuff. Now let's zoom way out to the cosmic level and see how this theory explains the creation of huge celestial bodies, like our very own sun. So this timeline walks us through star birth as this process of cosmic self-organization. It all starts with a gigantic spinning cloud of hydrogen, a nebula. Over millions of years, the principle of specific gravity takes over. And simply put, that just means the heavier atoms sink toward the center. This movement builds up an unimaginable amount of pressure and heat at the core. And it all ends in this massive nuclear explosion that shatters the nebula. And those fiery rotating fragments, they become stars. And just how immense is that pressure? Well, you're probably wondering how hot it gets. According to the source, that inward crush of matter is what generates this staggering temperature, an estimated 17 million degrees Celsius at the core of our own sun. That is incredibly hot. And what's so cool here is you start to see this beautiful kind of fractal-like pattern in the theory. The same process just keeps repeating on smaller and smaller scales. Stars throw off matter that becomes planets. Planets then throw off matter that becomes satellites. It's this one consistent mechanism of creation happening at every single level of the cosmos. Okay, so we have all this stuff forming, clumping, spinning, but what's holding it all together? What's the invisible force that allows all this to work? The theory proposes one single, all-pervading field. And the answer, it says, is universal magnetism. In this view, every single spinning particle in the universe, from the tiniest phyton to a massive star, is constantly radiating magnetic waves. And altogether, these waves create this vast, interconnected field, a sort of cosmic meganet that holds everything in relationship with everything else. And this is where you can really see the huge difference between this idea and the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory describes an outward explosion from a single point, creating space as it expands. The theory of transformation, on the other hand, describes an inward compression within an already infinite space. So one is an act of expansion, the other is an act of transformation. But check this out. This universal magnetism isn't just some cosmic glue. It's also the source of our senses. The theory says that things like sound, light, and taste aren't actually separate things. They're just how we perceive that universal magnetism interacting with different densities of matter. So, when this magnetism ripples through air, we perceive it as sound. When it interacts with fire, we perceive it as light. Through water, we get taste. And through solids, we get smell. All right, so for our final section, let's bring this whole cosmic story right back down to Earth. How does all this connect directly to us, to living beings? Well, if everything is connected by this massive magnetic field, then that means we are too. The theory suggests there's a direct physical link between the macrocosm, the planets and stars, and the microcosm of our own biology. We're not just separate beings living in the cosmos, we are constantly being influenced by its magnetic waves. And remember that original consciousness from the divine state? It doesn't just vanish after that first transformation. The theory says it stays around as this ordering intelligence within everything, and it operates through three main principles. First, there's pattern, which is just the specific shape and form an object takes. Then you've got precision, which is its inherent quality, like the sharpness of a knife. And finally, there's regularity, which is the predictable way it works over time. This order of function is said to guide everything, from a simple stone to a star to a human being. And really, that's the big, powerful idea at the heart of this whole theory. It reframes the universe not as this collection of separate objects that were born from some chaotic explosion, but as a single, intelligent entity constantly transforming and interconnected by this invisible web. It's a fascinating alternative view of the cosmos, and a pretty profound thought to leave you with.